NamUs is a national repository for long-term missing, unidentified, and unclaimed persons cases. It is a really powerful tool that allows for cross-matching and searching between both the missing persons and the unidentified persons records. It is the only national database that has a component to it that is limitedly viewable by the public. And this is really important because it helps empower family members to be more proactive in searching for their missing loved one. And it also helps to facilitate communication and data sharing between them and the agencies that are working on these cases. NamUs is so much more than just the database. The NamUs program itself is the cadre of experts with decades-long experience in law enforcement, medical legal death investigation, as well as allied forensic services that provide investigative and technical support to agencies working these cases. It is the ability to provide outreach and training to the public, as well as law enforcement and criminal justice entities that are working on these cases. And it is the free forensic and analytical services that help drive resolutions to these cases, bringing closure to family members, and finally names to the human decedents. The National Institute of Justice is aware of certain cultural needs and sensitivities surrounding Indigenous communities and missing persons. They've taken multiple actions to address this issue. The first part of the response to the missing or murdered Indigenous persons crisis involved adding specific fields within the NamUs database to capture information specific to American Indian and Alaska Native communities. The second part of their response included onboarding both a tribal liaison and a tribal program specialist, both of whom happen to be members of the Navajo Nation. These measures have been in large part a response to Savannah's Act, which called for an increase in data collection and information sharing related to missing and murdered Indigenous persons cases, as well as training for tribal law enforcement, educating them on the resources NamUs affords them, as well as their cases.
There's a lot of interest, and it's a priority from the Department of Justice to address the needs of tribal communities. And in that effort, we have created, as part of the program, some outreach that's very specific to those communities.
One of the biggest challenges Indigenous people still face is invisibility. This challenge is evident in the obstacle of missing and murdered Indigenous peoples. While Indigenous peoples make up approximately 3% of the overall population, they are disproportionately affected by high rates of violent crimes such as murder and sexual assault. Now, while the rates are staggering, it is evident there's a lack of accurate and consistent data that appropriately captures the extremely high rates of violence committed against Indigenous peoples. This is often due to racial misclassification on missing persons forms and the failure of capturing focused data.
It's important to have that specific outreach because we want to make sure that the messaging we provide any community really that has a different cultural aspect or view of how the justice system works to be invited to use the application or interact with law enforcement or medical examiners and coroners around NamUs. So we can actually help identify individuals who might be missing from tribal lands.
NamUs has specific fields within the database pertinent to tribal communities that were established in 2018. My role is to review active cases within the database entered prior to 2018 and update with appropriate case information related to any tribal nexus. I'm working to increase the collection of data related to missing and murdered Indigenous persons so that this data can be shared amongst federal, state, and tribal officials. Additionally, I review state databases for missing persons and identify potential cases with a tribal affiliation so that NamUs regional program specialists can follow up with investigators to enter the case and take advantage of resources offered.
Since its inception in 2007, NamUs has assisted with the resolution of over 45,000 missing, unidentified, and unclaimed persons cases. We would like to continue to build upon this success, and the best way to do that is to ensure that all appropriate long-term missing and unidentified persons cases are entered into the database. The more cases entered into the system and the more resources we have to support these cases, the more solves that we're going to be able to help generate.
There's a large, I think a large public movement to identify the missing persons from tribal lands, and NamUs wants to be part of that.